a calling me away. As take I with my pack to the road. It's a call on me of the forest in the north. As step I with the sunlight o'er my load. From Lake Agnes by Louisa to Canoeing I will go, where you see the loon and hear his plaintive wail. If you're thinking in your inner heart to swagger in my step, then you've never been along the border trail. It's the flash of paddle blades a-gleaming in the sun, of canoes softly skimming by the shore. It's the tang of pine and bracken coming on the breeze that calls me to the waterway once more. From Lake Agnes by Louisa to Canoeing I will go, where you see the loon and hear his plaintive wail. If you're thinking in your inner heart to swagger in my step, then you've never been along the border trail.
As dawn creeps across the dense northern forest, the loon alerts the outdoor world that the morning sun is just below the eastern horizon. It's time to roll out and begin packing our equipment. As the sun comes up, we prepare breakfast using a canoe-balanced keel-up as a table. Our crew shares the wilderness morning with a family of mallards out for an early swim. Equipment is packed and our campsite is clean, so we push off for another day of high adventure. This is canoe country, a vast network of lakes and interconnecting streams that form the drainage system of northern Minnesota and the Canadian provinces of Ontario and Manitoba. The lakes shine like blue gems scattered across the green blanket of pine, spruce, fir, and hardwood forests. Where streams thread their way from lake to lake, flashes of white indicate rapids and waterfalls. Most of these must be portaged around, portaged on trails made by the Sioux, Cree, and Chippewa. Today, scouts and explorers of the Charles L. Sommers National High Adventure Base follow these same waterways and portage trails. Operated by the National Council of the Boy Scouts of America, the base outfits groups at Ely, Minnesota, Bissett, Manitoba, and Atikokan, Ontario. Before a single paddle is dipped in the water, complete preparations are made. The base furnishes packs of several sizes and styles, each specifically designed for either food, equipment, or personal gear. Decisions have to be made on what to take and what should be left behind. A balance must be achieved between what is necessary for comfort and what will just add extra weight. Everything is packed in plastic bags to protect it from sudden showers or from splash and spray. All crew members, advisors included, participate in an orientation which includes the swamping of canoes. This exercise builds confidence in the built-in flotation of the craft. Then we learn the method used to get the swamped craft to shore, where it can be emptied and refloated. We also learn to trust our life jacket. Underway. In the bright morning sun, our crew heads into the wilderness on a pre-planned route. Here's a wilderness so remote that there are no roads other than the waterways first used by the Native American Indians. We're lost in time as we remember the French voyagers of the 16 and 1700s, the English and Scottish fur traders, and the American frontiersmen, all who opened the wilderness for the young nations of the U.S. and Canada. Paddlers usually don't start out as experts. But as hours move into days, they develop the style and rhythm of the veteran canoemen, driving their blades easily but powerfully. Our map indicates that a portage is required. A portage is a pathway through the forest over which the canoes and equipment must be carried to the next navigable waterway. Taking care not to run our craft up on the rocks, it's carefully unloaded. Each member of the crew has a load. Careful packing back at the base has allowed us to travel over the portages in only one trip. These trails wind through scenic portions of the forest, following the easiest route and passing near obstacles such as a thundering waterfall. Where the trail ends at the next lake, the canoes are once again carefully put in the water. The packs are stowed in the watercraft to take up the least amount of space. The 3 members of each crew climb aboard, paddlers in the bow and stern, the third man resting amidship. The middle man is alternated at each portage, so every paddler gets a chance to rest periodically during the day. Moving silently, we come upon wildlife like the great blue heron, a shoreline fisherman without fear. Reluctantly, he takes wing and moves on, probably to return when we're out of sight. At some rapids, where the grade is not too steep, our crew may decide to wade up with the loaded canoes rather than carry around. Gripping the gunwale, crew members push ahead, using the canoe to steady them where footing may be slippery. On a warm summer day, wet feet are no problem. Besides, dry footgear in the pack will be put on when camp is made later in the day. In some of the bays, solid beds of water lilies form a green carpet, here and there dotted by brilliant yellow and white blossoms. The lilies part as the canoes move through, then close up behind with no indication of anyone having passed by. Once again on the open lake, paddles are driven hard and deep, craft moving forward at a fast, steady pace. Muscles are toughened after a few days on the trail, and what was once hard work now comes with hardly any effort. A skill has been acquired. Driving the paddle has now become a genuine pleasure. Another portage breaks the hours of steady paddling and gives us a chance to work the kinks out of cramped muscles. Like paddling, portaging becomes an acquired skill, and as balance becomes surer, the voyager moves through the forest with a steady, swinging gait. We note the conifers and hardwoods and the mosses and lichens as the sunlight flickers through the forest canopy and lights up the understory in patches of bright green and yellow. Embarking on a long lake with a steady breeze at our back, we hoist a sail, letting the wind move us along at a good clip. For safety, the canoes are held together by hand. If the wind becomes too strong, or for any other reason we go back to paddling, it's a simple matter to drop the sail and let go of the canoes, which immediately become individual craft. With the right wind, sailing can replace a lot of paddling. With a change of direction, the wind is no longer an asset, so we once again push water to move ahead. Steadily, the miles fall behind. Miles of clean, clear water passing beneath the hull of the canoe. Water that's so clear, in some lakes we can see the bottom 30 feet below. A waterfall clearly indicates a rock barrier, a steep drop in the terrain which must be portaged. Ancient Indian canoemen took great pains to build their fragile birch bark craft and never risked damaging the hull. Like those ancient canoemen, modern wilderness travelers also have a high regard for their watercraft and its contents, carrying around most whitewater obstacles. There are times when it's worthwhile to just sit on a warm rock ledge, watching the leaves swaying in the wind and the sunlight sparkling on the water. There's a great permanence to the canoe country, and we're not long in the area before a kinship is established with the forest, waters, and wildlife. Here, time stands still, and there's nothing to rush to or rush from. Movement is timed to nature's own pace, a pace in which work, food, shelter, and fellowship all blend together, where a new knowledge and respect is acquired for our natural resources and for our fellow crewmen. In season, canoe country offers a number of delights, including huge beds of blueberries. A handful proves that nature provides a special treat. All we need to do is take advantage of the offering. Camp is pitched in the afternoon on a fairly level site where a breeze will keep most of the insects away. Modern nylon tents are light, strong, insect-proof, and completely waterproof. In addition, metal poles and pegs make them easy to set up. Boots and socks, which were dunked several times during the day, are now removed. The socks wrung out, the boots opened up to dry. Spare socks and shoes from the pack provide comfortable footgear around camp. On a hot day, our crew takes a cool, refreshing break in the lake. And what better place to swim than the clean, pollution-free waters of the North Country? In some areas of the wilderness country, and always during dry periods of high fire danger, cooking is done on small portable stoves, which are very fuel efficient, yet provide a clean, safe source of heat. Appetites are big in the canoe country, and meals are pre-planned to provide plenty of hearty, nourishing food. Supper is not only a time to renew the body's fuel, but also a time to recount the day's adventures, laugh over the funny incidents, and lay plans for the next day on the trail. Cleanliness in camp is an absolute essential. Dishes are washed in hot water and a liquid organic soap. A hot scald finishes the operation. The dishwater is then poured out in the woods where it cannot wash into the clean waters of the lake. Animals, large and small, may try to share our food supply. Roping the food packs high in the air places them out of reach of all four-legged visitors. Morning mist rises from the waters like ghosts of ancient voyagers from the past. The waters are restless and ever-moving, hurrying down water courses ground into the granite by glaciers more than 10,000 years ago. The canoe country is not the sole property of canoe men. The canoe base is well prepared to outfit co-ed and all-female crews, as well as all-male crews. The women crew members of today are equally as skilled in wilderness travel as their male counterparts, and have become commonplace on the northern canoe routes. Wherever rock bluffs project from the water at an angle such that undersides are protected from the weather, ancient Indian canoemen left paintings, records of hunting trips, animals, birds, fish, and tribal and religious signs. It is believed that they used a mixture of iron oxide thinned with fish oil to make these pictographs, which have endured for centuries. It's a living link with history which our crew can experience. It's a link which ties today's voyager with their moccasin-clad counterparts who passed this way hundreds of years ago. Some of the rapids encountered are safe to shoot, and on these our crew rides the canoe through, taking care to avoid ledges and boulders which could make scratches or dents. Where these rapids enter a lake are often some of the best places to catch the game fish which abound in canoe country. In these waters, visited by relatively few anglers, it's usually quite easy to get enough bass, pike, walleye, or trout for a good dinner. Most likely fishing spots, besides the whitewater, are weed beds, dead wood, and rocky points. Only enough fish for one meal are kept, the others carefully boated and released unharmed. In this manner, we keep angling at a high level in canoe country. With enough fish for supper, our anglers return to camp. Of course, they don't mind showing off their catch and perhaps accepting a few congratulations from fellow crewmen who can already taste the fresh fillets. The fish can't go into the frying pan until they're cleaned, which means removing the fillets with a sharp knife. All crew members who catch fish can try their hand at separating the meat from the bones and skin, and it's a skill which can be acquired only through experience. To go with the fish dinner, a big platter of hashed brown potatoes is prepared. Once the hash browns are ready, attention is turned to the fillets. Dipped in breading, they're dropped in hot, deep oil where they sizzle and bubble while the exterior takes on that golden brown color prized by outdoor cooks and gourmets alike. It takes only a few moments for the fish to cook. Then, each piece is removed and placed on a platter to cool. The fillets don't cool long, for as soon as they come out of the pan, they're eaten, and the cook continues to fry until the last fillet has passed through the hot oil. Leftovers? There simply aren't any. For a special treat, our cook is making a cake, baking it in the small aluminum trail oven which is part of every crew's cook kit. The cake batter is poured into the oven and placed on glowing coals, with more coals and burning twigs placed on top to maintain an even heat, so that the finished cake is golden brown top and bottom. This is the moment of truth. The time when the oven is opened and the cook finds out if he really has a cake. A cake is not a cake without frosting. And this holds true even in canoe country. Using a tested mixture of powdered sugar and flavoring, the cook has turned out a frosting of just the right texture, which is carefully poured over each piece. It looks like it came right out of the oven at home, except that it tastes infinitely better in the outdoors. It was Pierre Radisson, an explorer of the 1600s, who first attempted to put words to his feelings about canoe country. Out there, we were kings, the richest men in all the world. What was true then is true now. What greater wealth than days filled with high adventure on the water and across portages, with providing our supper with rod and reel, with cooking on an open fire and enjoying a meal fit for a king. Inevitably, day comes to an end. The sun slides into the western horizon, and night slowly moves across the lakes and forests of canoe country as taps is sounded by a solitary loon heading home to a distant roost.